Mhm.
All right, we are recording. Thank you, everybody, for joining. This is something that I had been wanting to do because I do get questions all the time. Because now that we are here as single older women, I think it's giving a lot of older ladies a sense of comfort that, oh, they're over there. Look at Sylvia, look at Maggie, look at so and so. So if they can do it, I can do it too, right?
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
we know if you watch a lot of influencers, they call us, I don't know what that means, but we're just running our mouths, right? And we'll tell you, okay, what is the budget? And it's hard when somebody say, how much money do I need? I'm like, it's personal. It depends
Right.
what you want, what your money can get you, and your lifestyle, right? As long
Right.
as you don't come in with expectations that you're going to live like the Joneses, because you can see that's what happened with some people. They come here and they go full blast. They're going here, going there, spending money, and it's not just in Panama. It happens a lot of places people move to. They don't know how to manage their money, and they think if
Right.
they come in with like $10,000, it's gonna last them for like 5 years. And I'm like, who told you that, sis? It doesn't work like that, right? So some people, we would say, if you want to live semi-comfortably, we would say around $2,000 a month, right? But you can
Okay.
live for less. You can live for less if you are not in the city and you are willing to go to a smaller place outside of the bustle and hustle and bustle. Things like, Volcan, Boquete might be a little bit difficult now, Dolega and other places. David, you can live a simple life, whatever your budget is. But I think one, it's not just the financial concern. Some people are concerned about being alone. And I think that's a bigger
Yeah.
concern for a lot of people
Yeah.
who have not traveled, who
Mhm.
have been in community. And the
Mhm.
idea, and when I say community, okay, your neighbors, your aunties, people you went to college with, and you feel supported, right? And then you
Right.
get on a plane and you go to a strange place. You don't speak the language. That is something that gives them pause. They're like, oh, I don't know if I can make it. And then we're gonna say, well, you could. It depends on how you look at it, right? If you say with any situation, if you just say, up, not gonna work for me, it probably won't. But if you say, let me explore this, let me see the
Mhm.
feasibility, let me talk to people who've done it, who are there, that's what you do. And that's
Right.
the due diligence. You come to something like this, you watch the videos, you call people, you do a consultation. And some people aren't willing to do that. They're just like, oh, I can do it. Well, you know what? If you tell me that, I'm not going to try to change your mind. If you say I can't do it, to me, you put a wall there, it doesn't matter what I say. You want people who would say, let me find out. How does it work? This other people, wherever they go, they're gonna make it, right? Because you're
Mhm.
open and
Right.
you're trying to get information. Nothing is impossible. It's a mindset, right?
Right.
So
Mhm.
co-living, I have gotten a lot of questions about, and they say, I'm interested in co-living. And usually when they when they send me a message, it's like, find me a person. And I'm like, whoa, it doesn't work like that, sis. Or they'll say, do you know anybody who would want to have a roommate? And I'm like, well, who are you? We don't know you. Or they'll say to me, they'll say, I'm coming for a couple of weeks. Can I come in, move in with you? And I'm like, sis, we're talking online, but I don't know you. I can't bring you into
Exactly.
my home. It doesn't
Yes.
work that way. Because just because we are in Panama, we are in a different environment. Your common sense still needs to work. You can't
Right.
get somebody you don't know from the street and bring him into your space.
Exactly.
And then you in the news. Don't do that. So that's what we're going to talk about here. What is co-living? What is co-housing? Hola, Auntie, you're here. Yeah, this is the Zoom call, but I am recording it live you're not in the Zoom community. You have to log in and then I'll let you in because that's when I'm not going to answer questions over here. I'm going to answer question in the Zoom room, in the meeting room. All right, Auntie, I posted the Zoom link. If you click on it, you're going to come over this way. All right. So that's what we're going to talk about today. What is co-living? Why are you considering it? And could it work for you? Okay. And don't assume that everything that you see is going to work for everybody. It doesn't. Before we do that, maybe we could just take 2 seconds. You know me, I'm Maggie from Single Women Retiring Abroad. We're gonna let Sylvia, you muted, just say a couple of words about you.
I'm Sylvia. I currently live in Volcan in Chiriquí province, and I've been in Panama in Volcan since last year, late January.
Very nice. And Sylvia is a member of Single Women Retiring Abroad. Even though she doesn't live close, she took a plane to come over here, to come to the city. No, we really appreciated that, seeing her. So nice. All right, Greta?
Hi, I don't know if I guess you can see me.
We can
Yeah.
see you.
Hi.
My YouTube can't, but we can.
Okay. Hi,
She's been having internet issues in Mexico.
Oh, okay.
yes, I'm in Mexico. And I guess I like participating. I don't call myself a small sister yet. Eventually I will be.
Yeah, she's in Mexico living her best life.
Yes.
All right, Maria.
I'm Maria. I live in New York, Long Island, New York.
Ah,
I'll just tell you, I'm a caregiver. I've been a caregiver for 19 years, but I take care of my brother's disabled, but he's going to go in a home soon. So from when he goes in the home, that's when I'm going to take off like you wouldn't believe. Um, I've been I had a taste of co-living when I was younger. I
okay.
went to England for the first time, and it was my professor set this up because she wanted to see how everybody would live. She assigned four strangers to a suite, and she wanted to see if we all got along, and we all got our own bedrooms. We had a sink, we shared the bathroom, we shared the kitchen, and we shared the living room. And the kitchen was stacked with utensils. We could go out and cook. There was a supermarket across the street, and she couldn't get. She told me. I remember she told me. She said that your group was one of the best. You all got along, and it was so good that when I went to France, two of the ladies said, "Can I come with you?" We went. We shared a room, had a blast. So I had a taste of co-living, and and I mean, we set boundaries. We talked about things we wouldn't do. We emptied garbage. I mean, it was so much fun. I couldn't believe. And if there was an issue, we'd sit down and we talk about it at the dining table. And she said the focus was that the month that we stayed together, she said that. But she wanted us to check on each other. So we each had a what you call there, sticky thing was you stick on the door, and if you were going out, if you wanted privacy and you were going out, you would say, I'm out, I'm going out today. And everybody had their phone number, so everybody called. And we also had emergency if anybody like if something happened, we'd call, like we'll tell the professor, but she had a list of the family members and whatever. So thank God we didn't have. But with other people, there was the Gazette who got robbed, and that was a whole fiasco while we were there. She had to attend to them.
Right.
And she even had to even ask us if we could take one of the girls, because the three other girls who came with her, they decided they're going to move out and stay in a hotel, and left that one girl there. So we each had to take turns with this girl because she was so traumatized by all this. But
Yeah.
we did it. We did it for a whole month, and it was fun.
All right, Maria, that's wonderful that you had a taste of the co-living. We appreciate that, but we're going to be going into the
Mhm.
nitty-gritty of what it means for us. Because, when you
Right,
are younger, it's a little bit easier for you to go through things. Because now we talked
right.
about that. I told you about my little hostel situation, hostel.
Yes, I know.
Now that I'm old, it's a no bueno.
No. So same for me. Same
No
for me.
bueno. So let me go and pull up, and I'm sorry for the my online YouTube family, but just listen, okay? And then when I finish, I'm gonna post a video, then you can go watch it. But it's hard for me to show you the screen at the same time, otherwise you're not gonna be able to see me. I'm not that savvy yet with this thing. I only know enough. Chat, somebody's chatting. Hola Maggie, it's Auntie. Hola. I think she's the one who had to go somewhere. All right, so let's get going. Oh, I gotta tell her, you have to click on the link to join. So I did some research and was very excited to read about how the co-living, the co-housing situation started. All right, so you guys gonna see my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so, and you guys gonna be
Yes.
staggered to the side here. There we go. If you have a question, just kind of raise your hand. Yvette, you are muted and we don't even see your face. So if you don't want to show your face, it's okay. So when I went to look at co-living and to find some of the information, it turns out that co-living is not something that is um, you know, kind of new. They have done it in the past. And from what I hear, its roots, they say, were in ancient tribal living, right? Because when you, in the old age, people lived in community, right? You had a compound and then they shared things. They shared, food and resources, and they supported each other. And I can tell you, when I was in South Africa in the little village, when I was with the Peace Corps, communal living is alive and well. There were very few single house dwelling. When you went into somebody's home, there was a compound and there was a big fence around, and you had the main gate.
What
And
happened
somebody,
yesterday was shameful. Oh, shameful. Just
okay, what was that? Whatever somebody have playing in the back, they need to turn it off, por favor. Okay? Oh, you off camera. Okay. So when you went into this person's home, there was the gate, and you may have the main house where mom and dad live, and then they have different little dwelling inside that compound. And I think someone told me in Chiriquí, there are some places like that where, right, Sylvia, that you may have multiple dwellings in one compound.
Correct.
Yes, and that gives you a sense of safety that somebody might check on you, right? If they don't see you, someone's gonna knock on the door and say, are you okay? So that whole mindset of communal living is rooted in ancient time. But we know what happens. We became very sophisticated. People did not want to work on the farms, and your kids wanted to go live in the city. So you had an exodus, right? So the whole societal model had shifted and changed, right? And then the Industrial Revolution, jobs, more money, yes. The mobility became an issue. It's like what they're experiencing in places like Japan right now. Japan has the highest life expectancy because they live well. But now in the interior, they have a bunch of old people living by themselves because the young kids have moved to the cities. And even though they're healthy, you may be healthy, but you're still old. You still need somebody to check on you, right? And then you have the isolation issue that has become a very prevalent issue in aging, especially. If you are living alone, you don't get to talk to people. You're not out there like Greta going and greet the people at the store. You isolate yourself. This is no bueno. It is, isolation is as high a risk factor as heart disease. and old age and increases your risk of dementia. And now this week I read the more you fall, the higher your risk of dementia. So living alone is not a good thing. But as I said, because of people being mobile and wanting to make more money, which is usually the main reason people leave their communities, that there's more money in the city, right? And then those who move in the city, they also lose something. They don't have the family, the communal support to watch your kids, right? To help you with chores and just have people around. So that's the thing. But a little thing I saw in South Africa, which was really shocking to me. The parents would say, bring my grandkids, bring my grandkids. And the parents would dump the kids to the grandparents and they would go live in the city. And I'm like, where are the parents? Oh, they live over there. But the kids are with the grandparents. They're doing everything for these kids. And then the parents come like once a week to visit, eat, and then go back. I'm like, I don't know about that. But, so once we had the shift in people, the mobility, people moving, and in the 1970s, a community in Denmark decided, well, we need to go back to that. And I'm like, bingo, this is very nice. We need community. A lot of research is saying that, like in my community, they would say, if you have a lot of hands, the work is not hard, right? So they started a community in Denmark and it created a movement that says we can live in community, not necessarily if you're old, because co-housing, it's not just, it doesn't focus on the retirees alone, okay? So in Denmark, you had a multitude. You had families, you had young people, you have college kids. It's just a matter of creating community and sharing life. That was the thing. So there is a guy, an American, I don't know what he was doing there. He's an architect, but his name is Charles Durett, Durett. He was an architect and he was in Denmark at that time, 1980s. And then he saw this because he would see people just walking around playing together. And he's like, what is that? He's from America. He hasn't seen that, right? Everybody's in their little spaces, they go out to the store and then they go back behind closed door. People were in spaces just playing, the kids and everything. I'm like, okay. So he said he went inside. He said, what is this? And then they explained to him the sense of community because they had to create this model. It didn't exist. So they had to create, how do we live together? How do we share responsibilities? How do we make decisions? How do we care for our properties? So all that was being created. So he came back to the US and he and his wife at the time, Catherine McCammett, they wrote a book in 1988 that is called Co-Housing, a Community Approach. And that was the first book that was written about, can we do this here in the United States? And why not? But I tell you, the movement took hold. The first community that was a co-housing community and we're going to talk about what that is, that was created was in California, and it's called the Muir, M-U-I-R, Commons. It's in Davis, California. And right now it says they have over 150 such communities. Now, the difference with this community versus what people think about right now for us in a city, in an urban area, is that it's almost like a tiny home village, because someone called me one time here and said, do you think people in Panama would be interested in a small tiny home village? I said, of course. I said, you bring it, people will be interested. But it's not as easy for you to do that here, where in the US you would say, get the land, get an architect. It's a little bit more difficult. So he created that first community, and he himself lives in a community in California. But the difference with him is that he had the concept, and we know if you live in community, whether you have your own little house but you have neighbors who are close to you. And then there are certain elements we're going to talk about. You creating community, you creating support, you creating lifelong friendships. And then you can age in place because you have people looking out for each other. And that's the concept of his home. And then he said something too. He said, in America, we've developed the idea that bigger is better, right? Like they say, everything is bigger in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
So in order for you to say, oh, I'm successful, it's related to the square footage of your home, right? I just bought a 4,000 square foot home. I said, no, you just bought a 4,000 thing around your neck that you're going to have to pay for the next 30 years. And then we're just trying to impress people with the size of our home. I went to Boston one time, to a community outside Boston to visit my cousin. And the homes are grand. And then she said, oh, look at that house over there. I'm like, wow. I mean, I lived in New York too, but my house was a little one-story, very simple. This lady had a 3-story colonial, big, big, big. And I'm like, wow, who owns this house? She said, oh, she's a nursing assistant. She's working 3 jobs. And I'm like, what is wrong with that picture? And this is what we do into ourselves. We try
Yeah.
to compare ourselves, our status with somebody else, drowning in debt,
Mm-hmm.
stressed out to the yin yang, sick
Mm-hmm.
and sick and sick with all kinds of diseases because we want to appear to be successful. And I call it the big lie that we have bought into, that we need to have all these things to show us and others that we're successful. Well, his idea was, no, we don't need all that.
Right.
We need a small space that is
Mm-hmm.
comfortable. You want friends, neighbors, and you want to model a participatory model where everybody puts their hands together to the benefit of the community. So in those
Mm-hmm.
communities, they have like councils. All decisions are made together. They
Right.
are required to gather together like at least once a week and share a meal. How important
Mm-hmm.
is that? It's very important. Then
Yeah.
the responsibility for the cooking is passed around different people. So this is the community part of it, right? And you sharing
Mm-hmm.
a meal with someone, that's when you get to know people. You get to
Right.
know how they think. You get to know what's
Mm-hmm.
happening in their lives. Do you need some help? And if you develop such close friendships, it's a lot easier for you to say, oh, sis, I need some help to go to the doctor. And it will be a no-brainer to say, I'll drive you, right? Then you don't
Mm-hmm.
have to hire a home care company for somebody to take you to the doctor. And then these people are living their best life, and I bet you their quality of life is much better. Okay? So, and here, so I talked about the history, the architect. So now I'm thinking about what we over here in Panama and other places as single women, what are we looking for when we say co-living? All right. Now, when I go to look at co-living and doing like a chat GPT, co-housing is what I talked about. You have
Mm-hmm.
your own little home, you own it, and we're going to talk about that here, versus co-living, which is more of a decentralized, maybe small space that you rent versus owning. So these are some key differences between co-housing and co-living. So the feature ownership in a co-housing development, you own your little house. Now, it's not 4,000 square feet. It might be less than 1,000. I think I could live in less than 1,000 square feet home. I don't
Amen.
need a whole lot. I just need a nice
Mm-hmm.
kitchen. You can give me a little room. I put my bed in there and a little bedside table and a closet. I'm good, right? In a place where you can have a couch, you have your desk, right? A couple of plants, maybe a little patio. I like patio so I can see outside. That's all I need. And a
Mm-hmm.
bathroom. I don't need a whole lot. So that's what those homes have. So if in a co-housing community, they will have the single homes, and then they'll have some, they call them rooms, extra little like studios for guests. Think about that. You don't have to say, I need a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. No, you need a 1-bedroom, 1-bath for you, because they have like 3 or 5 units that are designed for your guests when they come
Oh, okay.
inside the community. How good is that? They're not going to use your bathroom. Somebody who likes to throw things out there, you got to pick up after them.
No.
Go over there, and then you can come eat. We can eat, but you can stay over there. So I like that. And they have a big common area. That's where they gather. They play together. They play cards or whatever. Some communities have a pool. It's like iffy. Here in Panama would be nice, but it's not necessary. And they have other things like a garden. You should to have somebody in the community who loves to garden, do other things and can get classes for the kids. You can bring young people from the schools. I mean, there's so much you can do. But it is owned. The units are owned in a co-housing. But if you were to research, you put co-living. Co-living, when I put that in ChatGPT, it's going to show me some real estate investors are buying properties and retrofitting them so they can rent out room by room by room. So you are in a rental model. You pay month to month. You don't even have to pay a lease. It's not a leasing agreement. So those outfits are like, you have a nice room, some share bathroom, no bueno, but some have their private bathrooms, but they do have like a shared kitchen, living room, common areas they're sharing. That's what you're going to see right now if you were to research co-living. Most of it is going to be like college student, young professionals who maybe don't have the money to go buy. In this day and age, buying a place is scary for young people. It's scary. They don't have the deposit. You have to do about the maintenance, and all of that for a home. So it's very difficult. So that is an option for kids who may not have the means to buy a home and not wanting to go live with mom again, with their parents. Or if, let's say, you just moved to a city and you got a new job, right? It's an easier transition for you to go into a co-living arrangement, maybe until you find an apartment. So there is a company called Pace something, and they do that a lot in multiple cities in the US. And then you just go in there and you say, what city you're looking for, what you're looking for, and then all the properties come up. Co-living properties, and you just pay like $150 a week, and then you have a place to stay. They have housekeeping, but you're probably responsible for your food. But then it's like no utilities, nothing to worry about. They'll clean the room, and then you get new sheets, new whatever. And I don't know, I think it's pretty attractive. What I would say, I don't know. You're living in a room with total strangers, right? And if you are a single lady, I don't know. To me, it sounds like it could be a bit dangerous, right? In a place that you don't know anyone, you're going to rent a room, you're going to go to the bathroom, you don't know who's in the other rooms. I don't think I would like that. But that's what I see in co-living. The next thing, the management of a co-housing development is managed by the community. So whether they elect some people to become part of the management team, they make the decision in terms of, I would think, what do they call that? When they're cutting the grass, right? Planting flowers, keeping everything clean, up to date. And do we hire this company, that company, if you have problems with utilities, water, anything like that. So all that has to be decided by the community. And of course, not every person. I'm assuming there is like an election process. It's almost like, in my head, I'm thinking like a condo association,
Yeah, exactly. I
right?
was just
A
thinking.
condo
Mm-hmm.
association
Mm-hmm.
where you have bylaws and you have rules and everybody buys in and they vote,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's self-managed. In a co-living situation, it is professionally managed. Some of these people hire, like what we have, property managers, and they make sure everything is clean, housekeeping. If anything breaks down, they take care of it. And one investor may have multiple properties because this is an investment. This is for them. It's almost like you were flipping now. They don't do flipping so much. They're doing co-living. So the same people who used to buy in the last 5 years, buying like a property that was, like what do they used to call that? When they're not for sale, short sale, short sale, or it's dilapidated, they would invest in the home, make it retrofit it, and then advertise it as a co-living space. So that's what they're doing. It's an investment property. The owner, of course, doesn't live on the property. It's almost like a rental property, except that it's room by room by room. The privacy, of course, if you have your own little house, you get that.
Mm-hmm.
In Manchester, England, very nice. Someone said they have them in England, very good.
Mm-hmm.
Was it Manchester? Self-contained. So this is your home, right? This is your home. You're just part of a larger community, that's all. And then when the co-living is rented room, sometimes you're sharing spaces with other people. And for me, that would be like I don't know, maybe transient, but not like a long-term plan for me, in my mind. Demographics, co-housing, sometimes the communities are mixed. People of all ages, people with babies, retirees, professionals, it's a mix. So you have to look at the community and see if it suits your need or your temperament. Because I don't think I would want to be somewhere with a bunch of kids running around, teenagers making noise, having parties. I'm just past that, right?
Yeah.
And that's
Mm-hmm.
why we go to the over 55. So we can have our peace of mind. But there was another thing that was very popular in the last 10, 15 years. It was called multi-generational housing. I don't know if everybody has heard about that. Multi-generational housing means that you want people with different age groups and then they live together. But in my mind, when I think of that, I'm thinking of buying a big old rambling house for my family and I, not strangers, right? Let's say I
Mm-hmm.
bought a big house and then like I had a compound, like I mentioned before, Sylvia. I'm in this house. My daughter lives over here. My son's over here. My other son's over there. And then if they have their kids, we get together. It's a big familia. The grandparents
Mm-hmm.
help with babysitting. When the kids come home from work, there's a meal. That's multi-generational housing. It reduces isolation, and then you definitely share in the expenses and the management of the home. I think it's a good compromise for young people who may not have the means to get their own homes. But in the US, what we preach is, oh, you got to be independent from your parents.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Mm-hmm.
tell people, I was one of those who told my son, you 18, you go into college. If you don't go to college, you need to find your way. Now I'm ashamed right now when I said that. And let me tell you, he graduated today. The next day he was gone. He bolted because he wanted to do his own thing. And
Right.
of course, the restraints would be, you can come here at all hours of the night. I don't want loud music in my house at all hours of the night. So the kids want to be independent, but independence has costs,
Right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Isolation, and the benefits that you would have had if you were in community with your parents. Well, that's assuming you kind of like each other. Some people in families don't like each other. And there may be some people in your families you wouldn't want to be close to. I understand that. So all these are individualized decisions that require thoughts and assessment and evaluation. And even if we're thinking of co-living as what we're going to talk about for us senior women, you still have to do the work because you can't come with anybody and everybody. Not everybody is suitable to be together in shared spaces.
Exactly.
Okay. So demographics for co-living, we said students, digital nomads, people who are transient or don't have the financial means to have their own places. Because let's say if they transfer you, give you a new job in a place like Manchester or New York City, you're going to be hard pressed to be able to come up with money to rent your own apartment. It is tough. It is tough. So this might be a compromise. It could be temporary. It could be a permanent solution. Because if you want to live in New York City, I love the city, but I can afford the city, that's an option. Okay? Typical location for co-housing would be in a rural or suburban area outside the city. Because definitely in terms of real estate, space, you wouldn't have the space to do that in a city. Now for co-living, yes, you can have apartments, duplexes and stuff like that in the city. And then let's say if you have 4 bedroom, you have 4 people paying you rent, it's kind of steady money. But I personally never wanted to be a property manager. I don't want to bring people in, do their background check, and then if they don't pay, having to evict them. I can't do that. So that's why I'm a property manager. But you know, my home is being leased by a property manager, and in his contract, it says, oh, we don't evict people. We will tell you which lawyer you contact to get rid of. So all they do is collect the money, and if something is broken, they tell you, oh, this is broken, we're gonna get it fixed. That's it. So if you get into trouble and the person doesn't pay, you as the owner, you're responsible. I guess it might be because of based on the states. And in my state, like you can kick people out. So if somebody has a disabled child, you can pick them out. You can't say you don't want somebody without a pet. So many rules. So many rules. So understand the difference between co-living and co-housing. They are not the same. All right, any questions so far? Like the video by tapping the 3 dots on the top right-hand side. Like the video. Oh, thank you guys. Thank you, Auntie. Manchester, England. One of my favorite places is a place called House of Social, where they have co-living spaces, workspace, restaurant. Yes. And I think for somebody who is single, a nomad, very mobile and flexible, yeah, this might work. And remember, those kids are prime for that kind of living. They've done it in their dorm and other people. It's just people like us, you know, we've had our homes and we've been in there for 40, 50 years, and to go back, it's going to be hard. Going to be hard. All right. What are the benefits of co-living or co-housing? Oh, 4 messages. Let's see. Co-living in America scares me. Co-op living. I don't know what co-op is. Family living, multi-generational is necessary in Hawaii. You know what? I'll tell you, as I've gotten older, I have reflected on myself that, and I've said that before, I got caught up in the societal wave of things and never took the time to ask, why are we doing what we're doing, right? And it wasn't in my 50s to say, it would have been okay to have my kids closer to me, right? Versus one's here, one's there, was over there zigzagging, which is what I find as a clinician, when I have an older person with a problem And then they say, oh, we have 3 children. One's in Hawaii, one's in California, the one in Texas. Well, who's going to come take care of you? Oh, no, I don't want to bother them. So you left on your own, on your
Mhm.
own. No one to provide some support. But multi-generational housing would help that. If we were not so stuck in our ways and wanting things our way, that's one deterrent, that people are inflexible in their way of life. Because
Mhm.
if you live in your own home, you were the boss, you made all the decisions, and then you're gonna enter in a co-housing situation, you gotta change your mindset, sis. You're gonna struggle. Because if you want to be the one to make all the decisions, it's going to be a problem. Because they may make some decision as the governing body that you don't agree with, and then you're going to become a very sour member of the community. So we have to rewire our brain if we want this service, this lifestyle, to realize it's more of a cooperative. And some people are going to have to relearn that. What does that mean to be in community and to go along with something that you might say, I'm not so crazy about it, but if it doesn't hurt me personally, I'm fine with it. Can you say that, right? We got to rewire our brain, because otherwise co-living is going to be hard sell for you. So shared spaces. Me, what I say, I live in an apartment, and I said, co-living, I worry that sometimes I just walk out into the kitchen to go to the washing machine to get something. And I'm in my birthday suit. I was getting ready to step in the shower. There's nobody here. But if I have someone here, I say, oops. So I would have to rewire it, because oh man, maybe put a big sign on my door saying, do not leave this room undressed. But I'm sure I can learn it, right? Shared spaces, understand you're not the only one living in that space. Now, if you're in the little co-housing in your house, yeah, that's good. I think I like that idea. Shared resources, that means if you're in a co-housing, I'm sure you're sharing costs for like landscaping, right?
Mhm.
Insurance and other things. In a house with somebody else, you're sharing rent,
Mhm.
right? You're sharing utilities, you're sharing water, you're sharing for the internet. So there are things that you're sharing, like tomorrow, I'm having somebody come to clean the AC. That's in my contract that I have to do it every 6 months. That's the cost I am bearing. So if I had a co-liver, we would have to share that, because
Mhm.
it's a communal type of expense. So I say that for those of us considering co-living, we want to, it needs to be written somewhere. We need something in writing that
Mhm.
says
Mhm.
these are the shared responsibilities. So you cannot decide, oh, I don't have the money to pay this today. No. And if we rent a space together, I think we both should sign that lease, and we have equal responsibility. And there have to be a clause in there that says, if you decide for whatever reason, oh, our personalities don't jive, I'm just going to leave, then what's going to happen to the rest of the contract? So all that needs to be spelled out.
Mhm.
Okay. And then we are community building and support. That is a given. And I think this is one of the best benefit, or the largest benefit of sharing space with other people, is having that community support, that you're not by yourself, which is what a lot of our sisters worry about who are on the other side looking to come to Panama. They're worried that they're going to be by themselves, that if something happens to them, and as we get older, we worry about somebody finding us in the bathroom, or we pass out. And I tell people, we can do all that, but it still could happen. Because
Mhm.
even if you're in a house with someone, if you're in your room and you pass out, I may not know. If I don't see you come out for dinner, I may knock, but during that time, it could be hours, right? So you can't be too hung up on that it might happen. But what you're doing is trying to reduce the likelihood. It's okay, media, to reduce the likelihood of that happening. But you are building support. And what they find also in those communities that they have in California, people really develop deeper relationships, which is what SWRA is all about. We say at SWRA, we are not just a social club where you go to lunch here, you go to this event here, there. It needs to go deeper, right? You need to be more engaged and concerned about your sisters, because that's what sisterhood means. It's not a social club. So if you're not willing to jump in if a sister needs you, then it's a disconnect there. Okay? So when you live in community, you work hard, and I think naturally you're going to develop deeper relationships, right? And as we get older, I tell people you can't ever have too many friends. And especially the friend that you can pick up the phone at 4 o'clock and say, oh, I don't feel so good. Can you come over? Now, isn't that nice if the person is next door? Or are you going to call your sister in Maryland to say, I don't feel good? She can't help you. She cannot. Promote sustainability and financial ease. When I saw that, I laughed, because when I'm doing the videos for myself, I always say, the ultimate goal of SWRA is to create a model of aging that is sustainable and affordable. Because one of the biggest reasons we want to consider this model is to save some money. Especially for the sisters who don't have a high Social Security, or the sisters who that's their only source of income. They don't have investment, they don't have pension, right? So co-living, sharing space, sharing expenses with someone is going to cut your expenses down. And then you gain friends and community, right? So those are the benefits of whether you consider co-housing or co-living. Any other questions? Let's see.
Maggie,
Yes.
I have a question. What about I don't know if they have this in Panama. Do they have those little things you wear around your neck, and if you're in trouble, you just press the button and
No.
somebody comes to your house? Do you
Medical
have any of
alert?
that? Or
No.
they don't have that? Okay.
No.
Yeah, okay.
I know. We looked into that. The only thing that is closest to that, and I said, I would go to Tigo or Massmobile and say, hey, we have all these old people coming here, because you have to have a monitoring place, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you press, there is somebody sitting looking at the screen to see you and then call 911 for you. So it needs
Right.
monitored. But the closest thing that I saw is one of our sisters had like an Apple Watch. It wasn't Apple, it was an Android, but it was connected to her computer, so or to her phone. So all her contacts, they were paired together. You paired the watch with the phone. And then she
Okay.
had listed her first contact, second contact, third contact. This is a watch that was waterproof. She said she never takes it off. She sleeps with it, and she goes to take a shower with it, a bath with it. So if she were to slip in the shower, which is the place that most people slip in the bathroom, she can just
Mm-hmm.
get it. But she has to be conscious to do it,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
If you
Mm-hmm.
hit your head and you're unconscious, that's not going to help you.
Right.
You have to be able to say, I'm falling and I can't get up. So she pushes the button, it automatically calls her first contact. If the first contact doesn't answer, it goes to the second and third. That is the only thing that we saw here. This is from Honor. Honor is a Chinese brand here that is very popular. I have an Honor phone. And you just buy the watch and you connect them together.
Okay.
So at least we have that. if sisters want to consider that. There is a language barrier with 911 in Panama. Yes, ma'am, there is. You say, are you the auxilio? And then they're gonna ask you, where are you? Where do you live? And you can say, huh? Yeah, that is a situation. Yes. And I tell people, you have to, in your mind, understand this is the reality of what could happen to you. I personally, if I fall, the only thing I worry about is being in pain for days and nobody finding you. But if I'm just passed out, oh, I'm good. I don't worry about that. But if you break a bone and you're in pain and you don't have a way to call for help, yes, that is a situation. And then she said the 911. So it's a lot to consider. If you have somebody inside your house in the co-living, if they hear a thud, they're gonna go check on you, right? Or if you say, oh, 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 she's gonna come and check on you. But if you're by yourself, so every time I'm getting out of the shower, you know how you can put the thing inside the shower, the grip, so you don't slip, and grab bar, they don't have those things here. Something that we always had to put in our patient's bathroom, to help him, get up and down, grab bars. And when you're building a house for a senior, you have to make sure you have walk-in showers and not those tubs with the big high to get in. That doesn't work. So the thing that this guy, the architect, does when he retrofit these homes, he keeps all that in mind. The width of the hallways. Now in Panama, we have not an issue because the hallways are so big, you could do like you could roll and bowl in there. They're so big. So that is not a problem. But the showers may not be walk-in. And when you're retrofitting an apartment for old people, you're also thinking of someone with a disability who may be in a wheelchair.
Right.
So the height of the counters have to be taken into consideration. So they have to put the height of the counters, of the countertops in the kitchen low enough that if someone is in a wheelchair and they want to crack a couple of eggs, they're able to do that. They don't have to do this, that it would be at their level.
Maggie,
Yeah.
and what about those with hidden disabilities?
Hidden disabilities, like
you can have people with kidney disease, strokes, disabilities that you can't see, but are named disabilities.
Okay. Well, that we all have them then at this stage, We hit the 65, we all have something, right? We all have something. So whether we want people to know about it or not, we all have something. So I don't know. First of all, understand that Panama is not a country that is so focused on disability. It's like a personal thing. You have to make your own decisions and to approach it, right? You can't run down the street with your wheelchair. Everybody tells you there's no sidewalk for that. So in those communities, in those co-housing communities, they have beautiful streets and wide sidewalks for that reason. That's why I'm very interested in that concept. But when you come to a place like Panama City or Panama, you got to think, how am I going to maneuver that? Because it's not pre-made for you.
Yeah.
So co-living offers an opportunity to talk to somebody and say how you can maneuver that. Because yes, you have elevators. Yes, you can have your wheelchair up and down, and then just use Uber for everything else. As long as you can wheel yourself to the door, stand up, and transfer. Let's say you had a stroke. You have 1 week side. We teach you in rehab how to transfer. Sometimes there's a board. They show you how to scoot yourself up and you can transfer. You may want to do that. So wherever you choose to move to, you got to think about, how am I going to adjust for these things?
Yes.
Because they're not pre-designed for you in mind, with you in mind. Okay? All right.
Maggie, one more thing. What
Yeah.
about a medical supply stores that sells like railings for the bed in
Oh,
case people fall off?
we have
Do they?
those here. Yeah, we have
Okay.
medical supply.
Okay.
You can get
Okay.
the chairs and the wheelchair and yes. Oh, God,
Okay.
it's one of the best ones.
Okay.
They can have hospital beds and other things.
Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you.
And also, we are starting to see more facilities or homes designed to care for the aged here. The only thing
Mm.
that we say as expats is like, first of all, there is that language barrier. No one is neuropathy, yes. No one is going to, probably be speaking English to you. And if you are in a facility where they speak only Spanish, thank goodness you would have gotten used to the food already. You're going to get your rice, you're going to get your beans, your chicken, so you're going to be good. But they're not going to be speaking English to you. All right. But we have a couple of people in a facility here, and they say the staff is very kind, but yes, sign language and come on, let's go, you do a lot of sign language. And that's why I tell people, for anything else, you don't have any other reason, learn Spanish. The medical
Mhm.
stuff, when you are in a hospital, when the doctor leaves, you speak the English, and then you left with the technician, the nurses, and they look at you, you look at them, you don't understand each other. This is not a good situation. Because they can come with something and say, blah, 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 and you say, see, you don't know what you're saying, see to. They just said, I'm here to take 2 pints of blood. You're like, see. And you can talk to sisters who've been in the hospital. They tell you, if you're alert enough to get your Google Translate, yeah, you can just put it in their faces. But when you're sick, you're in pain, you're not doing good, and you don't have an advocate,
Right.
that's the first thing you need to have. Somebody to go with you and talk for you. We call those advocates, okay? All right, so let's see. Key consideration. What should we consider as we're talking about co-living? Remember, co-housing for us here in Panama. This is something in my head I'm keeping, in my vision. That's part of my vision. But co-living, for those people who ask about co-living. Co-living here in Panama is sharing space and resources with another sister. And you know what else I read when I was doing that research? They said more and more they're finding that older women don't want to live with men. Uh, they want to be with their sisters. They don't want to be with the guys.
Maybe because they're not clean.
Whenever I see a gentleman put a comment in my for my videos and say, you keep talking about the single older woman, what about us guys? And I said, well, sir, you can start a whole group for yourselves. He said, no, we want to be with you all. We're like, no, we don't want to be with you. I'm going to get a comment about this. I just said, this guy said to me, oh, you're all saying that because nobody's talking to you. And I'm like, you would be right. You would be right. I just don't have the time nor the patience. No. But if you say you're going to have co-housing, they've had some for LGBT, they have co-housing for all kind of different ages. People congregate with people that they feel comfortable with. And I don't think that we need to feel some kind of ways about anything. You want to be with people that you feel you can congregate with, have fun with, eat with, play with. There's nothing wrong with that. So for co-housing, of course, the vision would be we want to live in community. We want to share space with people that we want to be around, and we want to be able to lower our cost of living. And then in those co-housing communities, the one thing that they say is that because we're not looking to impress the Joneses, the size of the homes are rather small, right? So, and what I wouldn't want somebody to say, well, you have to have phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, level 1, level 2, level 3. So that means, Maggie, if you want to be a studio, so-and-so want to go to 1 bedroom. No, you know what? I think it would just muddy the waters. I think if you're going to say a community, there should be a standard size of the homes that nobody feels, better than the other one. And, I have
Mm-hmm.
more square footage. I would think if I wanted to design, I would say I want all the homes to. I mean, you can do the aesthetic. You can move the bedroom here and there, facing here, feng shui. Yeah, you can do that. But don't have such variety in the size of the homes and gonna create all these little undercurrents of superiority. I have more money here. You know what I'm saying? It
Mm-hmm.
just kind of would muddy the water, in my view. So if you move down to a smaller size home, and I think everybody is comfortable, like I said, I would like a nice kitchen, 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, nice bath,
Mm-hmm.
a nice living room where I can put my desk and a little patio. That is all I need. And I think
Yeah.
I can do this in less than 1,000 square feet.
Okay.
I can do that. And I'm totally okay with that. Right? And especially if the landscaping is going to be handled by a company and everybody pinches in, like in
Mm-hmm.
a condo, you have your maintenance thing, you pay amenities for the month. Sign me up. Not a problem. The values that we want to be in community, we want to age in place, we want to be in a supportive environment. The vision, again, is that as our health starts to go down, we want to be in a place, somebody has their hands up. Just a moment, Yvette. We want to be in a place where we can say, okay, I don't expect them to take care of me, but they can come and see about me. Are you okay? Can I bring you something? Can I bring you something to eat? Right? Somebody had surgery. 2 or 3 sisters get together. Somebody bring this dish, that dish, so that the sister is supported as she's recovering. This is what SWRA says. So if I was in that environment, that would be an expectation in that condo agreement, right? Okay, Yvette, go ahead. You muted.
Hi, Maggie.
Hey.
Um, Hi, I'm so glad that you're doing this. I'm gonna have to leave soon. I've got some things to do this afternoon, but I don't know, I think I'd probably be more interested in co, is it like when you,
Co-housing or co-living?
housing, yes, the co-housing aspect of it.
Mhm.
That sounds attractive to me.
Right, it's to me too, except that now in Panama, I love to be in the city, but I know we wouldn't be able to create a community like the guy has. So we're going to have to make some adjustment. There are some
Uh,
communities where that you may find little homes, but to say this is our community and we're all in this, next to each other, we would have to be off outside of the city for that.
I
Okay,
see.
so that's
Yeah.
why I'm going to be talking to this guy, Mr. Charles. He's got a podcast. I'm going to drop the information with the video about his podcast and how he does it. And maybe he can give me some ideas. And he's an architect, of course, and talk to some architects here and see how we could get that going. So that's not something that can happen right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So right now in Panama City, because we're in the city, we're in a high rise. That's why
Right.
in SWRA we have what we call clusters. What we do with our clusters, people who live in the same building or really close to each other, we put part of them together so that they can kind of keep an eye on each other that way. We call that our clusters. that's kind of what's the word I'm looking for? This is, one way to do almost the same thing, but with what we have within the constraint of space, right? Because we don't have
Right.
like land that we can just build a few houses together. But we got 2 or 3 sisters in the building. We want you to be together, share your resources, talk, keep an eye on each other, right? So that's what we're doing right now. But definitely the co-housing is a vision for me in the future.
Yeah, that sounds really good.
Mhm.
Well, listen, I just want you to hear my voice and to let you know
See
how
your
much I
face?
appreciate you. Well, I thought I had my camera on. I just,
No, we just seeing your face now.
oh, you did. Okay.
Uh-huh. Nice to
So,
see you, Yvette.
nice to see you too. Um, but I just wanted to let you know how much I appreciate what you're doing. I love your channel and I get on as much as I can.
Oh,
Um, yeah, I do because
I
I'm very
appreciate
much
it.
interested in leaving this place and relocating to Panama. I just came back from Spain with
Okay.
my family
Mhm.
yesterday, actually,
Oh, wow.
and talk about the language barrier. Now, I know a little bit of Spanish,
Yeah,
so I was able to, get by. But it's really important to learn the language of,
and it
whatever
is.
country you decide to relocate to. Very important.
I agree. Thank you. All
All right. Love you.
right, love you too. Bye.
Bye.
All right. Another consideration is governance and decision making. So, governance, we talked about, for the co-housing, definitely who's in charge, who's making the decision, how information is disseminated and all that. Okay, we're not there, so we don't have to worry too much about it. But in a co-living situation, governance, you both are equally responsible or accountable to keep the place clean, to pay the rent on time, pay your bills on time, right? And then you're going to have other considerations in terms of space, right? Even though you in an apartment or a home, people need to have their personal space. Your shared spaces would be the kitchen, the living room, dining room, and you don't have to be on top of each other all the time, but understand that you do have a roommate. And like this is where the assessment comes in. Are you a clean freak or are you a slob? Well, you can't put a clean freak with a slob in the same house. It's not gonna work, right? Even though I'm not a clean freak, but I do not enjoy clutter and a lot of dirty spaces. So that needs to be talked about. That's why you got to pick your co-liver, your partner very carefully. All right. Financial and legal structure, we touched upon that. We got to make sure everybody knows who's responsible for what, your responsibilities, and the what ifs. What happens if something happens to you? You say, oh, I don't like it here anymore. I'm going back to the state. Uh-oh, but you still have 6 months out of your rent you need to pay. You can't just get up and leave like that. So that's why I said we got to get an attorney involved and draft something legal that makes this person understand that this is not a game. If you enter in that kind of relationship, you have responsibilities. Okay? Site location, again, you got to decide. Like this two ladies, I don't think she's on. They just moved to another place. I'm sure they had to talk about it and agree on a bunch of other things. So that's important. Let's see. There's a smaller place means less cleaning, and I am also interested in co-housing now. Listen, very good. All right, y'all. So you're gonna give me my marching orders. I have to find us a spot to have co-housing. Oh, Lord. Okay. Amenities. This is what Greta was talking about earlier about people with disabilities. So you can't say you are co-housing with someone who has mobility issues, there's no elevator, and then you're in a place where there is really no sidewalk whatsoever. So you have to talk about how you're going to make it work, right? Um, Costa del Este here in Panama has better sidewalk. Some people, I know a lady with some disabilities, she moved there because she was able to use her scooter a lot easier than she could in the city. That's what you have to do. It may cost you a little bit more, but it has to do with your comfort and, for the amenities that you need. So you got to think about those things. Financial management, I think everybody is responsible for their own expenses, paying what you're supposed to, and then you're independent. I don't see any crossing over in that. Your responsibility, your rent, your utilities, you pay that, and then not a problem. And then if something comes up unexpected, you got to talk about that too. How do we split it 50-50, right? If the AC goes
Right.
out or something goes out, that's part of home maintenance. If you were by yourself, you would do it. So it can happen even in a co-living situation. Community involvement and support in a co-housing, definitely plentiful. But then in co-living, you can come together or you can go into your spaces. And I think one other thing a lot of us worry about is like, well, what about if I get to I wake up in the morning, I woke up on the wrong side of and I don't want to talk to anybody. Well, don't. And the other person needs to be comfortable to say, oh, she's having a moment. Just leave her alone. Right?
Yeah.
You know how when you were married, that time of the month, you just want to be alone. You want to be bothered. And then the brother would keep saying, well, what's wrong with you? Why are you in a bad mood? And all you wanted to say, just leave me be. I'll be okay. You have to understand. One of the two ladies who are in a co-living situation, she said, I know when I look at her and she started hitting the dishes, I know she needed her space, so I go into my room. So you understand each other that sometimes people need their spaces. It's not personal. Don't take everything personal. You are grown and everybody may need some time on their own. Just let them go to their room. They have the music going. It's good. Do not take it personal. Oh, what's wrong with her? Oh, she's not talking to me. And this is one of the reasons some people don't want to consider co-living. They're like, I don't want to have to explain myself to someone. It's almost like you in a relationship. This person is there. Don't be too rude, but understand that they might need some space. All right. So those people who are considering, those sisters who are considering a co-living situation, this is why I created this forum, the hub. If you want to post a question, I'm going to be posting some articles. I'm going to be posting links to the podcast. This is a place for you to educate yourself. And if somebody asks a question and you have the answer, post the answer. Go offline and say, can we chat offline? Let's say somebody is talking in the chat and you say, oh, I like the way she thinks. Let me just talk to her some more and see how she feels about it. And then you can create relationships like that. This is what this is called a hub, right? This is a place for people to meet. Online hub. Now, psychological assessment. Now, this is something I put in there. When I had my company and I was hiring people, I always give them an online assessment. I had there was a place called DISC. It's a program called the DISC Profile, DISC, and they had to log on and take that assessment. And it was like a personality assessment trait because it kind of gave you some insight as to how this person's brain functions, right? And when they give you the question, they didn't want you to think too much into them. Just the first thing that comes to mind, you just answer it. And then you got a score at the end. And then the score would say, oh, this person is more suited for a receptionist job because she's jovial, she's preppy, and she's kind, she smiles, yes. This other person, oh, no. She likes to be by herself. So you give her a job that doesn't require a lot of interaction with the public, right? And when I used to hire my salespeople, I needed somebody who was bubbly and didn't, never met a stranger and can carry a conversation. We are all different. And I think in a co-living situation, because you're going to be, not in a co-housing, because you're going to be close, you want to know who you're going to be rooming with. So I highly recommend a psychological assessment just to see where people are. I know I'm an introvert. I would not want to be with someone who constantly wants to be talking to me. I could not do it because I don't like to hear, you know, chatter all the time. It distracts me. And then, I like to be on my own. Yes, we can sit and have dinner, have a drink. How you doing? Yeah. And then if I go in my room, don't take it personally. It's okay. Or I'm on the computer. You can say, oh, she spends hours on the computer. Yes, I do. I do. And that shouldn't bother you. It should not bother you, right? All right. No, I'm looking at Sylvia. Sylvia is doing her knitting and she's got, and then that's her thing. I don't knit. That shouldn't bother me. I was like, oh, this is good, sis. She loves her dog. I don't have a dog, but it wouldn't bother me. So we just need to give people space and accept them for who they are. But if something is going to get on your nerves, don't say, oh, I need somebody to help me pay the bills. You grab the first person. You're going to be miserable. Even though you might say, oh, after the lease is over. I've had another sister who was rooming with somebody, and then that thing didn't last 3 months. They were like, so you got to know what you're getting yourself into, okay? Talk to each other, interview, social interactions. If you, go to lunch, go here, go there, then you can get to know how somebody's mind works. Their beliefs, their values. Can you imagine now if you were rooming with someone, one is red, one is blue, you're going to have some conflict in that home, right? Politically. I don't want to have those conversations. I don't want you to espouse somebody over here and I'm looking at you and say, what? That's just too much stress for me. So I need to know what you believe, where you are, not to criticize or to look down upon. And that's not what this is about. This is saying, this is where you stand. And if I'm way over here, it's going to be a problem. So maybe we should not. And there's nothing wrong with that, okay? Respect boundaries. Everybody's an individual. Even though they are in a co-living situation with you, they are their own person. And then what happens when you have families come in? You got to talk about that too, right? Are you going to say, oh, my sister is going to come for a month and she's bringing her 3 kids? That's going to be stressful for you, right?
Right.
You got to talk about these things. Independence versus sharing and legal responsibilities. All right. The last thing I want to say before we close and take some question is that what co-living is not, okay? Even in a co-housing situation, don't go into these situations or life situation with the idea that you're looking for a caregiver. All right? If you are in a situation where you can't walk, you can't take care of yourself, you can't get in the shower by yourself, you can't, that is not the place for you because we still want to foster independence, all right? Because some people may be too far gone in the way they can take care of themselves to belong, to be part of a group like that. So in housing, you have your little house, but you got to take care of yourself. We can check on you, see if you're okay. You go to the doctor, we can help take you to the doctor if we're available. We don't have to, right? We can bring you a casserole or two because we want to, but we don't have to. So your expectation should be that I am still independent. I may hire some help to come in, right? You may hire some help to come in and help dress or whatever, but you should not expect your partner to become your caregiver.
Right.
That could create some problem,
Mm-hmm.
right? Oh, yeah, I'm going to be living with so-and-so. If I can't take care of myself, she'll help take care of me. No, no, no. That is not what this is about. And then you have to get to the situation in that legal paper that says, if you get to a point Well, you're not safe at home. Let's say you have a little dementia going on, and then you keep going in the kitchen, keeping the oven on. That's a ding ding. That's a situation that you have to look at and say, how are we going to address that? So that's what I'm saying. Those arrangements, there is so much. So I think I'll put an article, or maybe I'll do a video about the things we need to look at in a co-living situation, because you want to go into those situations with your eyes open. What to look for in a co-liver or situation. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to call it. But it's important for people to start thinking about that. And then others can chime in. Oh, Maggie, how about that? Yeah, let's add it in. Maybe we'll have a document that says what to look for, right? Make sure the person has the money to pay the rent that they say that they're going to pay the rent, right? That if they don't, how many grace periods do they have? Because if you said to me, oh my God, oh, I don't have it this month, so you want me to pay it. And the next month, another excuse, that's a ding, ding, ding for you.
Right, exactly.
That's a ding, ding, ding. That's why you vet people. I want to see where your money is coming from. I want to see it. And I'm going to share mine with you. Because this is a business relationship. I'm not your child. I'm not your pariente, family, because I don't want you to leave me high and dry with the responsibility. All right? So we need to talk about that. So don't look at someone, oh yeah, or maybe you want to co-live with me. Say, oh, Maggie's going to cook dinner every day. No, she won't. I don't even cook dinner for myself. Look at Greta. When I cook on Sundays, we eat. After that, you're on your own.
Mhm.
So
That's
you see what
right.
I'm
That's
saying?
right.
You can't expect that. Oh, she's gonna be the housekeeper. Oh no, she cleans the house. Why? You can hire a housekeeper. We'll split it halfway and the house is clean. I remember when I first came to the US, my mom had me in a co-living situation with this family. And then it was the mom, the dad, and 2 kids, and it was just me. And then they're going to go shopping, and I said, okay, how much are we gonna buy? They say, oh, just give us. I'm like, no, you tell me how much you're gonna buy, and I'm gonna give my portion. But we can't split it 50-50 when it's one person, and then you're gonna eat for 4. And I was 19, and I'm like, the math is not mathing. No, I'm not doing it.
No.
And then we got into an argument, and we had to part ways. I'm like, you are not going to take advantage of me just because you see I'm only 19. You think I don't know, I can't count? No. My money is my money to keep, not yours. So, and this is the kind of thing people think you mean or you rude. It's not. It's about life. It's about life. I'm not your caregiver. I'm not your maid. I'm not your cook. Right? We can come together and we can part. We respect each other's spaces. We respect each other's way of thinking. We don't have to think the same. We don't have to get into argument about politics or anything else. No, you believe that. If you can keep it to yourself, we good. But if you're going to try to convert me over here, Houston, we have a problem. So talk about all these things.
Maggie, what about and they don't tell you ahead of time
That's
that
true.
they smoke weed,
Yeah.
that they smoke weed. You won't
Oh,
find out until
girl.
Yeah.
you cough.
Now that would be a big problem.
Yep,
Because
you find
sometimes
out
I
when you're
sit here,
coughing.
and I can smell it coming from an apartment somewhere, right?
Yes.
But inside the
I,
house, that would be a ding, ding, ding for me.
yeah.
But I'm
Or
glad you brought that up. I wasn't even thinking about that.
yeah. Or they like how you clean your space and make it smell good and peaceful for yourself. But they want to use your stuff and they only buy the cheap products. Don't buy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we got to be so careful. That's why I say proceed with caution. And the reason I see it happening here in these situation, those sisters knew each other before they got here. And I think it helps that
Yes.
they already knew each other. But I'm not saying it's not possible to do it with someone you don't know. You just have to take the time. Like any relationship, don't rush into it. So when somebody said, "Oh, Maggie, I'm coming. I'm looking for somebody to live with. Do you know anybody?" I'm like, no, even if I did, it's too fast. You got to take time to learn people. Talk to them. Ask
Yes.
question. Watch them. So, or
I mean,
somebody could have a home that they're gonna do the co-living like they do in the States, rent a room here, a room there, then there is no expectation. It's just like 1 month, month to month to month to month. I don't know anybody doing that, but it's a possibility, I guess.
or you have those people they don't think that something is wrong with them. They have narcissistic values. And they just would perceive that they would be on borderline with bullying. And their voice go up every time they talk to you. You're like, wait a minute,
Oh,
that's an issue.
it
That's an
is.
issue.
That would be an issue, yes, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
Where is the link for the Zoom? Oh, it is on the YouTube page and on the Facebook page. They're both pinned to the top. But anyway, this was recorded, so I will post it. Do we have any other questions?
Oh,
All right, Cindy. Thank you.
what about the money exchange and the rates in the different countries?
Money exchange. Well, here in Panama, we don't have that because it's a dollar to dollar.
Okay.
Right, it's a dollar to dollar here. So if you were in a place like Thailand, so whatever the rent is, you're just gonna have to pay. And I know it kind of goes up and down.
Yeah, in
And
Mexico it goes up and
it
down as
does,
well.
right? So whatever the exchange rate is for the month, that's what you pay.
Yeah.
That's what you pay. You don't have a choice there. But also you could have issues with food purchases, right? Did you see that thing on TikTok? She said she sat there eating her lunch and then somebody's coughing their head off. She said it says, "Yep, I put some Scotch bonnet pepper in my lunch. Somebody's been eating my lunch." And the person was like, because that happens. You put stuff in your fridge and it disappears. Oh my
Yeah.
God. I feel like
The
back to
community,
the teenagers again. You know,
yeah, the community refrigerator. I was
that's
made aware
why, that's why
today.
you got to think, are you a
Uh-huh.
candidate for co-living? Based
Yes.
on all those things. Let me write that down also. That's another document. Are you a
Yes.
candidate for co-living? It is not for everybody.
I was made aware today when I went to the market. Well, you can't, in some places, you can't really get a credit card as simple as a community market card. I'm still considered a gringo,
Of course
but
you're a gringo.
if since I was considered a gringo, I go to the market all the time and I made friends with them. They push me over to the side, say, go get a card. They value me coming there every day and supporting them. And I do something that a lot of people don't do. I make sure I tip them every day when I go. I tip the
Mm.
baggers. That's their income. That's how they make their
Yeah,
income. I don't
we
skip.
we tip the baggers here too.
Yeah.
You saw that video. Yes, it's so cool. I'm like, yeah, put some peppers in there. Find out exactly who's eating the
Yes.
food. Oh my God. But and I think that the document that we create, maybe I can start the beginning of the document, should include those little greedy details because it's one thing, if I get myself a bottle of wine and then the next day I go, it's gone, I'm gonna be pissed because it's not yours.
That's right. That's nasty.
Right?
Yeah,
We can break bread, we can share a glass, but don't use my stuff like it's yours. And you're gonna say, but we're sisters, we're sharing. Well, no, not like that.
yeah.
So the little
I don't
needy,
blame
greedy
Scotch
details
bonnet.
need to be talked about.
And maybe don't give the cure to the Scotch bonnet drink either.
Don't
Maybe don't give the cure for
get the cure
it.
for it. Don't give it to them. Oh my God.
Nope.
Yeah, energy vampires, exhausting. Yeah. Hola, Maggie. I love this as a nurse. Yes, Cindy. But I think to close out, we could say, I know with SWA, when I started SWA 2 years ago, it was me looking for a place where I could lay my head, grow older, and my little money coming in can stretch and I can I live a simple life, you know. I may be in an apartment that's kind of in a moderate whatever, but I live very simply. I don't go out, I don't spend money socializing, you know, people going on boat ride and New Year's Eve parties and stuff, 250, 200. I'm like, this is not in my budget. Not that I don't enjoy stuff like that anyway. Too many people, lots of music and drinking and stuff. That's not me, right? I'm a introvert. I love to be at home. We go to dinner once in a while, yes, but that's it. Um, but I think as we approach this temporada, this stage of life, I want to plan ahead, right? My reason for being in Panama is that I, as a nurse and having worked in long-term care, it was in my mind, no way am I willingly going to end up in a place like that. I don't want it because as I keep telling you, even as I was a nurse and a provider, I haven't met one person who said, this was my choice to be here. Nobody wants to die in a nursing home. This is not a place to die at, okay? So I wanted to be proactive and make plans for myself, be in a place where I can be somewhere. Somebody can come and check on me, bring me a bowl of soup, or give me a ride to the doctor. I can use an Uber. Of course, I can order an Uber, but maybe I'm unstable, I'm sick. A sister would say, okay, let me take you. I'm looking for that. And that's why I'm so diligent about not only modeling it for the sisters, but encouraging it. That, you know, if a sister, you don't hear from your sister, you got to check on her. That's why in the clusters, we check in every day and say, we're going here, we're going there. So that, I mean, you're not going to find me if I fall because I'm going to be on the floor for a few hours. But at least you're going to say, oh, can somebody go check on Maggie? I haven't heard from her. Or you have a key to my apartment. Can he come and check you? Right? And I wanted it to be sustainable. That means I can stay here. I don't have to be kicked out and affordable. That means I'm not going to be counting pennies every single month and say, oh my God, do I need to buy this medication or do I eat? Which is what my patients in the States were doing. I would go in and see these patients and I open the refrigerator and there's nothing in there. Not one thing. Either they're not able to go shopping for themselves or they have to pay for their medication. What is that? You're taking medication but not food? Does that make any sense? No, I don't want to do that. So I open it to other sisters who I think may have the same feelings and needs that we talk about growing old in community, in sisterhood, okay? But this co-living thing that a lot of people are talking about is, again, like I said, two things: finances and the fear of being alone. I think those are the two things that are fueling the need for more information about, can we make this work? But I think if I was in a position right now to say, okay, we have a little community where you can, I mean, we can even lease those little homes, you know, if we wanted to. If we can find somebody with money, with deep pocket, to say, that's okay, I'll buy all these little houses, I'll build them. You all, and you know, you hire, you rent to us. It's good. We pay our bills, we pay our rent. So we are less risky as customers to people than the average Joe out there, because we have money coming in on a regular basis and people pay their rent because that's your largest expense in retirement.
Yeah.
And then it's maybe your healthcare or your food. So it would be easy to tell the sisters, yeah, I have this unit here, I have that unit there. It's not going to break the bank. But when you're talking about sharing an apartment or a small home with somebody, I think it comes with a lot more things to consider versus just being in a house, right? You agree?
Yes.
So
Amen.
this is where the conversations need to continue. This is where the education needs to continue. Listening and talking to people who've done it. The two ladies who said they had done it said they were going to try to be here. I don't see them, so I don't know. Maria said, thank you, Maggie and ladies. This was so informative and interesting. So glad to see you all live. Maggie, I've been watching your videos and following you for a while. Thanks for sharing all your adventures and sharing so much with your viewers. May God continue to bless you and the sisters. Well, thank you, Maria. I appreciate that.
Yes.
But
And
we just starting the conversation, ladies. I'm not saying I have the answers, but I thought this was like a beginning to get you to think about it, because some sisters would say, I'm interested in co-living, but are you really understanding what it means? Right? And all the things that could come into play. How are you preparing for it? And I promise you, I'm going to write some things and put some documents to just get you to start thinking, because I want you to enter in any relationship like that with your eyes open. And you say, oh, I didn't see that coming. Well, we try to kind of think ahead. But anyway, that's all I have for today. Do we have any other questions? Ladies, suggestion? I'm gonna put the gentleman's information, Charles, on the YouTube channel. He's got a Facebook, is it a Facebook or YouTube? Where they talk about things about co-living and co-housing, because he has helped develop many of the co-housing communities himself as the architect. So what to look for in a co-liver? Are you a candidate for co-living? Those are the things, how you work. Like you say, I like my own space. I like to cook. I may
yeah.
walk out in the hall without, my birthday suit, those kind of things. So nobody gets shocked. They say, oh my God, oh, watch your pearls. I'm gonna try not to. Document. I don't know what I wrote for the third one, but anything else? Thank you for joining us on YouTube back there. Sylvia, I'm so glad you joined. Greta, gracias. Maria, thank
Thank
you
you so
so
much.
much. Yeah, this growing old thing is not fun, because when you think of the what ifs, right? It can be scary. But what's the point?
Yeah.
You don't need to be scared. You just do the best you can, prepare as best you can, and move forward,
Yes.
Yeah.
right? Do
Amen.
not allow the fear to paralyze you. And that's why we're talking about it, just to make sure we are in the know. All right, guys. 2:49. Thank you so much for being with me, and I will see you in the next video.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Au
Okay.
Maggie. Thank you.
revoir.
Bye, everybody. Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye,
Hi
everyone.
from
Bye-bye.
Florida.
Bye-bye. God bless.
Thank you, D-Ray. Hola. Well, we just talked about co-living, so I will post the video. I recorded it. I'll put it on the YouTube. Yeah, I'll put it on YouTube, and we'll keep the conversation going. This was just information gathering. And just to make people understand, there is a difference between co-living and co-housing, and how co-housing sounds so attractive to people who may have a little bit of difficulty living with people, because it's might not be so easy. All right. Okay.
Maggie, before you go, Maggie, I
Yes.
want to ask you, do you mind, would you mind if I suggested you to Jace? I don't know if you know this influence, well, online, Jace. She's from Africa, and she
Uh-huh.
talked about this, how the African community does this. Do you
Oh,
mind if I mention to her?
oh, no, I would love that.
Okay, I will
Okay.
hook you guys up. Okay,
Awesome. Thank you so
okay,
much. All
sure.
right. Bye-bye.
Bye now. God bless.
All right. Au revoir. All right.